After a while, you become very attuned to what this momentum and pace feels like, and you'll calibrate your daily habits around nurturing it. I protect my momentum at all costs, knowing how hard it was to actually gain in the first place. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Brian. This is the Success Lift Podcast, and this is episode 204. I appreciate you being back with me again this week. Great feedback over the last couple of weeks. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, for giving me that feedback. I appreciate you sharing the show. If you haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, we got out of the gates real hot, just like you do coming into like a new program, a new diet. Come out of the gates hot. We like quadrupled our subscribers, and then, last week or two, it's gotten a little bit slower. So if you haven't subscribed on YouTube yet, if you know what YouTube is, it's where people, apparently a lot of them, go to check out video content online. I typically do my hair for you guys. I usually will make sure I don't have a full beard. I might wash my face. I don't have to brush my teeth because you're not really smelling my breath. But I would if it made a difference. If it made a difference, I would. And so if you haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, I would appreciate it if you do. We're getting a ton of feedback and we're growing pretty fast there. For everyone who has shared the show, given me feedback, gone back and listened to old episodes because you may have just found me in the last 4 or 10 or 40 episodes, I appreciate you. And if you've been rocking with all 204 episodes, and I know there are some of you who have, cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. You mean the world to me. Thank you to everyone, like I said last week, for checking in on me. We finally got the podcast uploaded on a Tuesday. This is the power of expectation in our lives. And I'll talk a little bit about how your actions can turn into expectations in the next couple of minutes via a topic that I want to discuss to build upon finding wins in your life and what happens when you continually execute and you do those, but you start to expect things of yourself. You start to say, this is what I'm capable of. This is my standard. We start to raise our standard. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our standards. And if you can continually increase the standard in your life, man, you got something really, really powerful. And so a number of you reached out to me. Yo, are you okay? The podcast was not up on Monday morning when I got up and went to listen to it. Are you dead? Is anything happening? I was about to call the police. These are all messages that I got, and I cannot thank you enough for checking in on me because you hold me to a standard. I realize that I, on a weekly basis and on a daily basis on my social media channels, at Brian Pannuzzo on Instagram and LinkedIn, and then on my email list, which is where you absolutely should be spending time, go to thesuccesslift.com and click the little red button that says join the email list, or text me or DM me or email me, and I'll put you on myself. I'm not afraid to go hand-to-hand combat here, one at a time, and add people. But that's where I put a ton of effort, a ton of intention into content for you on a daily basis. LinkedIn, Instagram on a daily basis. I'm not quite there yet with a daily podcast. Maybe one day I will move to that, but for right now, it's weekly and you expect it from me. And so I appreciate when you reach out and say, yo, bro, where are you at? Because I'm looking for my weekly fix of the Success Lift podcast. So thank you. If you haven't subscribed on any of the platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever else that I don't listen, please do. It would mean a lot to me. It would mean a lot to me. And let one person know. Just let one person know. I said that on my email list, on my email yesterday, I believe. This is dropping on a Monday morning. For context, I believe I sent it on Sunday. Sometimes I do these things days in advance, so I kind of lose track of when the message is going to hit. But recently, I have expressed a very high degree of gratitude for the people who didn't even choose to get put on my email list. I started an email list of like 100 people, and I just put their emails on the thing, and I just started spamming them with emails, not on a daily basis at that point, 4 or 5 years ago. And some may have hit unsubscribe, but most people didn't. And it's grown from there. And so I appreciate you not unsubscribing. And I appreciate anyone who wants to let one person know, because that's what I asked my list. I said, could you just send this to one person? I'll build the trust. I'll do the heavy lifting. So just tell one person about this show. Have them tune into one episode. The rest is on me. All right. That's all I'm asking. And I appreciate you. This week, I want to talk briefly about a message that I got from some business coaches that I have, that I recently hired. My wife and I actually recently hired. She went back to work with a group of people that she has known very well for a long time. And I kind of tagged along because it was extremely economical and they are very good. And so I'm really excited about that. I've already seen changes in the way I operate from a structural organizational standpoint. I'm very structured in my personal life. I was very structured in my business life, in my trading life, how I accounted for all my X's, they call them, the information that I knew on a daily basis about all my names, my clients, my customers that I would talk to frequently. I was very good at hanging around the hoop and making sure they knew everything that I knew. And like, there's aspects of my business life, my entrepreneur life, that I haven't quite done that. I did at the start and then I got kind of complacent because it was working. And I was like, I'll get lazy with some stuff. And so it's been really, really, really impactful for me. And I can't wait to see where the next 6 months of this process and beyond takes me. But one of the messages from one of the leaders inside of the program was a beginning of April, beginning of Q2 message. And you could take this from a business perspective. You could take this from a perspective in any area of your life, because I really, really like it. And I'm going to read verbatim a couple things here and there. I have a laptop in front of me that you may or may not be able to see on YouTube. I don't know if you can actually. If you can't, no worries. And some of it is really, really good. And I want you to hear some exact verbiage. And then the rest I'm going to spitball and put my own spin and my own context on. So shout out to Mike Walker inside of the Wealthy Consultant program. It's a program that Taylor Welsh runs, who my wife has worked with for a number of years. A lot of people listening to this probably have never heard of those guys. They're more popular, more important in my new world than in my old world of corporate America. But they are very, very good at what they do. And I'm super excited to be affiliated and associated and learning from them. The message that we received inside of this group was about momentum, was about continuing momentum that you built in the first quarter inside of your business. And he made the analogy of like real estate. Real estate, we hear all the time. It's location, location, location. And he said in business, it's momentum, momentum, momentum. And they used the analogy of a plane taking off, and not just like a huge 747 that has a massive runway. We're talking like maybe a little smaller plane at a private airport on a beautiful island when you're island hopping around with your spouse or with your family or whatever. And, that plane needs to get its butt in gear pretty quickly and go full throttle and effectively trust the process, because they have a very short period. There are some islands I can think of in the Caribbean that are like, you just go, man. Like the landing and the takeoff are just like huge gaps up, gaps down, because you got to commit. And if you don't commit, you ain't, getting enough speed, or you're missing the runway on the way down. And so, the analogy was like, the only way to do it safely is to go full throttle and to leave it down the whole way down the strip. Okay. And second guessing, pulling back, braking, then accelerating again. I'm not so sure about this, which is what we all do in a lot of areas of our life, ultimately result in us never getting off the ground safely. You have to commit. Okay. And in order to commit, I believe you have to have belief. You have to have faith that it's possible. Having a guide can really help you. Being able to borrow the belief of someone else can really help, because when you're starting in a journey, all the evidence suggests that you're going to fail because you've failed before. Now you can draw upon other successes in other areas of your life, and you can say, well, I'm disciplined. I can find the right plan and I can implement the right plan. And I've not really failed anywhere else except here. So why don't I just take some lessons that I've learned and move them over and actually apply it and put intention behind it and put consistency behind it and do all the things I'm supposed to do and commit. But sometimes it's hard because you have evidence to suggest that you're not that person. And so I think it's a disservice for people. Let's use a weight loss context. Let's use a fitness context, to look in the mirror and sort of tell themselves these affirmations, which become very popular, which, I believe in, but I also, the tough guy in me wants to be like, that's soft as fuck and get out of here with your soft affirmations. I believe it's hard sometimes to look at yourself and say like, I'm super fit. I'm elite. I have a six pack. I have the fittest body I've ever had, when you're 50, 60, 70 pounds overweight, 40 pounds, 20 pounds. It's hard to do that because ultimately your unconscious mind looks back and talks back to you and says, fuck you are. You're a liar. You've tried to do this 10 times. You've lost this 20 pounds only to put it back on 10 times. You've told yourself you're going to stop drinking aggressively 100 times. You've said that your marriage is unacceptable the way it is and you want to get back to when you first began dating several times, yet here you still are. And so what's going to be different this time, guy, girl? What are you going to do differently this time? And so it's really difficult to fully commit with belief when you don't have the evidence. And that's where the connection between last week's conversation of finding and celebrating some wins come in for me. Because although you may look in the mirror and you may say, yeah, I still drink too much. You may say, damn, I got a long way to go. I got to lose 50 pounds. If you're able to point out moments in time when you did it, especially if they're recently, if you're able to look back and audit, big portion of the program, folks, audit your success, set achievable, but expectations that push you a bit outside of your comfort zone, 2, 3, 4% outside of your comfort zone, and then go keep those promises. You have immediate feedback. You have an immediate loop that says, I did that. I did that. That's why I alluded to last week. I will forever, especially though most recently, be able to look back on the month of March and be like, if I can do it then, I can do it anytime. I can do it anytime. I had to travel. Our dog was sick, passed away. I was physically banged up. My family got smoked, with an illness. I definitely felt the effects of that. I didn't lose a step. In fact, I continued to lose body fat. I continued to gain muscle, and I continued to transform just my physical body. Now, I absolutely rocket ship transformed my mindset in March of 2024. And I will say, now that I think about this, I actually remember a line from the podcast last week, something to the effect of March of 2024 can forever go F itself. And while aspects of that will always remain true, I certainly wish, our dog was still here. And I certainly wish that I didn't spend a week limping around in physical and mental pain. What I learned from that, what I take away from that, the momentum that I created in my life from keeping the promises to myself that I said that I was going to do, will forever, and especially in the next several months, will be with me and be a tailwind at the sails, the back, I don't know, of my plane, which is the analogy here, forever. Okay. Another line from this message that I really, really like. Momentum breeds confidence. Hell yeah, it does. Hell yeah, it does. That confidence begins to permeate everything you say and do. I have been told by people who have been paying attention to me for a long period of time that I have this confidence, this swagger about me over the last several months. And it's like, there's this belief, there's actually this ridiculous belief that everything is going amazing in my life, which is bullshit. But there is this understanding or appearance that I have gone to another level. I've gotten one step closer to closing the gap. Confidence begins to permeate everything you say and do. You're damn right it does. Eventually, that confidence evolves into expectation. As you expect to win, it becomes who you are. It becomes your identity. Fucking amen. And this is the process that people who I work with, I see it happen in real time. The more I work with people, the better I'm getting at seeing it before it actually happens. I've mentioned this recently. I believe I've definitely told my clients this. I can see when they're starting to get it, when they're getting close. I know when they're a couple of weeks away from absolutely beginning to dominate, because it's the way they talk. It's the little decisions they make. It's the small promises that used to get, that used to trip them up. Okay. All of a sudden they just fall away. They just fall away. They just fall away. And what felt like real resistance in the past now becomes comical. My dog's going to get sick and sadly pass away. I'm going to get sick. My family's going to get sick. I'm going to have my back jacked up. I'm going to have to travel. That's going to throw me off. What are you, nuts? Fuck here, man. No chance. What really could possibly throw me off in those scenarios? Everything that I choose to put inside of my mouth is my choice. Whether I move or whether I sit on the couch is my choice. Whether I drink or don't drink is my choice. How I ultimately react to my thoughts is my choice. This is where people, I think, get it twisted. And I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a mindset expert. I'm just a guy who screwed it up for a really long time and continue to sometimes. I don't think that we can rewire and choose our thoughts. I think people oftentimes try to fight the fight of like, I shouldn't think this way. Why am I negative? I talked about this last week. Why are you stopping trying to think trying to think negatively about a situation when all you have to do is just go end? Because there's positives. And you can find something that went well. And you can make a choice that aligns with the goals that you say that you have. Yet we just like wake up. We go, I don't feel like getting up. Fucking of course you don't feel like getting up. You think I feel like getting up? You get home. I don't feel like eating healthy. Okay. You keep letting your feelings dictate your actions, and you're going to keep getting what you've gotten for a long, long time. After a while, you become very attuned to what this momentum and pace feels like, and you'll calibrate your daily habits around nurturing it. I protect my momentum at all costs. Knowing how hard it was to actually gain in the first place. I am like coming off the top rope. Anybody remember Jimmy Superfly Snuka? I'm not a WWE guy. Fun fact, I went to WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania 1. I don't even know how many there are at this point. I was a kid. I was in second grade. I brought the Hulk Hogan finger in for show and tell the next day. I think it's kind of weird that adults like wrestling. I have some very close friends that love wrestling. Shout out to Joe D and Jay Farouche. Not really sure what you guys see. It's fake. But they love it. WrestleMania 1. I'll come off the top rope. Jimmy Superfly Snuka used to climb up on the top turnbuckle, they call it, and come down with like this like flying body slam. When people have momentum in my programs, people I care about, I'm like, don't you effing let it go. Choke it. Choke hold it. It's momentum. It's not a person, guys. It's momentum. Okay. It's figure of speech. Put it in a chokehold and don't let it go, because it is so powerful. Now, what happens when you get up in the air? What happens when you're flying down the highway at 100 miles an hour after you've gained that momentum and accelerated? Maybe you see the way I live my life. I just went to Florida on a business trip and then spent 24 hours in Jupiter and West Palm Beach seeing some of my closest friends in the world and clients. Florida is still replenishing their vodka supply from when we were there. We had fun. By the way, if you've never had a transfusion before, it'll change your life. It's a very upper class, white man's get drunk on the golf course type of drink. It's vodka, grape juice, and ginger ale, I believe, aka the destroyer of white collar men. Try a frozen one at the Dye Preserve golf course. They specialize in frozen transfusions. That's exactly what it is. It's a transfusion slushy. Fuck me. They are good. So when you see me go on vacation or you hang out with me for 24 hours and you're like, dude, I thought you were like the health and wellness guy. I'm like, yeah, you're damn right I am. I'm the health and wellness guy. Get me another transfusion slushy, please. That was amazing. Can we get wings and burgers when we're done with golf? Because I'm up in the air now, or I'm on the highway and I'm doing a hundo. And so I can take my foot off of the gas and I can coast a little bit. And so that was another part of the message that I love. Once you're up in the air and you reach a cruising altitude where the effort shifts to more long-term sustainable pace. So you see me maybe taking a day off here and there, and you're like, Brian takes a day off. I was good from Monday to Thursday. I'm going to take Friday off. Cheat day. I'm going to have a cheat day this weekend. And some of my good friends in the business say, your whole fucking life has been a cheat day. You really need one after 5 days? And so you're cruising too soon. You're breaking your momentum because you've created a number of small wins, but not enough. Think about a bank account. We'll talk more about this in the future, but I've talked about this all the time. Think about a bank account. Deposit, 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 and then withdrawal, right? Still got some deposits in there. But what about the size of the withdrawal? People talk about having a cheat day on the weekends, or an 80-20 lifestyle, but the 20% that you're off track accounts for 150% of your calories for the fucking week. That math don't add up. Or deposit, deposit, withdrawal, deposit, withdrawal, withdrawal, deposit, withdrawal, 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 withdrawal. We're going to a negative balance here soon, kids. You're not depositing enough for long enough, consistently enough, mostly long enough. You're taking too many withdrawals out. You're letting your foot off of the gas too soon. If I'm going a hundo for, I don't really know physics, but for an hour, I don't know, would it take me less time to slow down than you, who just goes 70 for 20 minutes? But that's sort of the analogy. You understand what I'm saying. That's the analogy. You're breaking your momentum too fast. You're taking your foot off the gas too fast. But momentum is the key. Lastly, and I love this, desire is the fuel that you'll use to get yourself up into the sky where there are no limits. Stop relying on discipline. Stop relying on structure and habits and your feelings. Start to cultivate a desire to become someone that you are not currently. Someone who is incredibly attractive. Someone who does really cool shit. Someone who looks differently than you do right now. Someone who has more money in the bank than you do right now. Somebody who is able to fly private If you fly private, fly their own plane. Go to Hawaii and not stay at a hotel. Go to your private home. I don't know. These are all things that I think about that drive me. Nothing excites me more than the thought of getting on a private plane to go meet some of my friends, or grabbing all of my friends, getting on a PJ and going to play a top 100 golf course in the country just because we fucking feel like it. Having the connections to get on it, because some of them are very hard. Having the resources to just say, yeah, this is a ridiculous financial commitment, but who cares because I have it. So all like reasonable, like within the context of being smart decisions for me. We just want to do this. Nothing excites me more than the thought of walking into a home that I have a visual of in Hawaii, that I have a visual of in Montana, that my wife wants to live in. Nothing excites me more than the thought of hanging out at the pool of certain high-end hotels and watching my wife have a sip of a drink in a bikini. She looks damn good. So do I, by the way. That doesn't excite me as much. All of these things are things that I can do a little of here and there right now, but not all of them, not even close to some of them, not even close. And so, although I might look physically the way I want to, maybe my body's not capable of doing something. And so what is that for you? I'm not telling you that needs to be a 6-pack and like some really, really big muscles. I mean, look at those right there. That's not bad. Got to be watching on YouTube if you're on audio right now. There isn't a version of you that's not impressive in this scenario. You have the connections to do cool shit. You have the money in the bank to do really amazing things. You have multiple homes. You have country clubs. You do sports that you love. Your body is a weapon. You're physically capable. You're connected in relationships. Doesn't that sound pretty awesome? So if I say abs, or I talk about like Thor or whatever, like, and that doesn't resonate with you because you're not a big blonde-haired dude, like, cool. What is it for you? What is it for you? If you didn't listen to last week yet, go listen to last week's show. Find those wins. Put those wins repetitively on autopilot in your life. And when I say autopilot, it means it can work, but like repeat them. That will create momentum. Momentum is a powerful force. I've been a part of games where it's like, dude, we can't score. The other team just keeps scoring. Then they stop us. Then they score again. Then they stop us. What do? We try to call a timeout. Have you ever seen a team call a timeout that scored 10 times in a row? No. Just get the ball back immediately. Because your foot's on the gas. Well, why take it off? Why would a team call a timeout when they've scored 10 times in a row down the floor, multiple times down the field, when they just get hit after hit after hit after hit? Nobody calls timeout. They can't race somebody up to the batter's box. They can't get the ball back fast enough. And here we are calling timeouts. Here we are slowing the game down when we've scored a number of times. That's what you're doing in your life. In order to get this momentum, you have to commit to the actions. When you commit to the actions, you get results. When you get results, you get excited. When you get excited, you do more of the actions. And all of a sudden, you magically, and I say that with as much sarcasm as I can muster, in air quotes, magically created momentum in your life. I know this one will help somebody who listens to it. So if it's not you, send it to somebody who will. I appreciate you. See you back here next week.